rewrite the equation. Can you tell me what that rewrite's going to be? G of x is going to be what, Lindsay? Yes. Plus 3x, right? Exactly. Rewrite it first. Now when you find capital G, so you're integrating it, it's going to be negative 2 over what?
Negative 6.
Nope.
No, negative 4.
Negative 4x to the negative 4, right? Plus 5 over what? Negative... Oh, wait, negative 0? Like, what is it there, right? I told you this before. I gave this to you. What is the integral of 1 over x? I told you this was in class last time. It's just something you get to know. The derivative of what is 1 over x? Do you remember? Maybe I didn't give this to you. I thought I did. It's ln x. The derivative, I thought I gave it to you, yeah. The derivative of ln x is 1 over x. So what is the antiderivative of x to the negative 1? So it's going to be 5 ln x. 5 ln x, because the derivative of ln x is 1 over x. So then what's this going to be? Plus 3 over what? What's this one turned into?
3 over 3.
X cubed. So can you simplify that? Sure. G of x is going to be 1/2 x to the negative 4 plus 5 ln x plus x cubed plus c. There it is. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, I see that. H is all the way over there. I see. Got it. I'm waiting. Yes, you have a question? Yeah, no? Actually, technically, everybody, I should tell you this right now. Make it the absolute value of ln of the absolute value of x.
Okay.
Make it the absolute value of ln of x. So do this right there. Oh, and that's great. Just focus. Yeah, freeze for a second. There you go. Do that. The reason is you can't take the natural log of a negative number, so it fixes a lot of problems if you just say absolute value. Just fixes it. To put it simply. Is the same thing as before. Rewrite first. Clean this up first. Square root is what power?
1/2.
So this is going to be t times t to the 1/2 plus 1 over t times t to the 1/2, right? dt. So that's, what's the invisible power right there?
1.
And it's the same thing as 1 right there. So that's going to be t to the what power to the first one? T to the,
1/2.
so 3 over 2, right? Plus 1 over t to the what? dt, right? What's 1 over t to the 3/2? That's t to the 3/2 plus t to the what? Negative 3/2 dt. Now you can just integrate both of those, right?
That made it look so much simpler than all the steps that
I did it out separately. I kind of broke it up a little bit. So add it, but is it the same exact thing?
Yeah.
It is the same exact thing. Okay. So in this case now you still have to integrate. We haven't done that yet, right? So it's going to be t to the what power? What's 1 greater than 3 over 2? Yes, Andrew, 5 over 2. And then what should you put out front if you don't want that 5 over 2 to be there when you drop it to the front?
3 over 2. Oh.
2 over 5. Because 2 over 5 times 5 over 2 is what? 1. So what's the next one going to be? T to the what power? What's 1 greater than negative 3/2? Negative 1/2. Good. So what's going to go out front, Andrew? Yeah, negative 2 over 1. Exactly. Plus what? C. That's it. So what do you have for final answer? 2/5 t to the 5/2 minus 2t to the negative 1/2 plus c. How would you check that to see if it's the proper answer? What would you do to that? Take the derivative and then hope it comes out to be that right there. That's it. And that plus c is important, everybody. That plus c is important. How do you find the average? How do you find the average value of a function? You have to integrate from what? For this, what are we integrating from?
1 to c.
1 to c of what function? Oh, c. Of what function?
6 over x.
dx, exactly. And what is that going to equal? It tells you equal to what? 1. So you're solving this. You're solving this. So how do you do that? Well,
For the average value, don't you need
1 over what? I'm very sorry, what?
c minus 1.
C minus 1. You're absolutely right. I'm very sorry. It says average value, not the total. Yes, absolutely right. So now we can integrate that. What can you factor out first before you integrate? 6, the constant, exactly. So what do you get here? 6 over c minus 1, the integral from 1 to c of x to the what power? What is x to the power there? X to what power? Negative 2 dx plus, equals 1. What is the antiderivative of x squared? What's the antiderivative of x to the negative 2? Sorry.
X.
X to the negative
1.
But what do you have to put out front?
Negative 1/2.
Not negative 1/2, because the negative 1 gets dropped to the front. It's just what? What is it in, David? So it's just negative, right? And what are you going from and to? 1 to what? C, right? You're evaluating it from 1 to C, right? Everybody sees that? 1 to C, and what does that equal? It told you 1. The 1 is carrying down, everybody. See, it told us it's equal to 1. What can you before you plug those numbers in, what should I factor out of that, of this? What would be helpful if I factored it out? Yes. I highly recommend factoring the negatives out and putting them on the outside. So what does our statement now become? Negative 6 over C minus 1, x to the negative 1 from what to what? 1 to C is equal to what? 1. So now we have to plug in C for x, and we have to plug in 1 for x. So it's negative 6 over C minus 1. We plug in C, what is it? C to the negative 1 minus what? Minus what? We're doing this now. So we plugged in C, and now what are we plugging in? 1 to the negative 1, right? Equals what? Equals 1. What's 1 to the negative 1? 1. So we have negative 6 over C minus 1. 1 over C minus 1 is equal to what? 1. Now you just have to, we have one equation in how many variables?
1.
Excellent. So we should be able to solve this. Can someone tell me what would be a good thing for us to do to make this a little easier for us? What should we do to both sides? Or what?
Multiply by C.
Careful, that doesn't really help because it's C minus 1 in the denominator. What could you do? No. I'd multiply both sides by C minus 1. So what do you get here? Negative 6 times 1 over C minus 1, and then what's on the other side? If I multiply both sides by C
minus 1.
Now what do I do?
Oh, now you multiply.
So negative 6 over C minus, or plus 6 equals what? C minus 1. Now what? What should I do? Everybody stop writing. Just look at the board. Just tell me what to do. I need some direction. I'm lost.
Multiply by C.
Nope. Okay, yeah, actually, sure. That's fine. Negative 6 plus what?
6.
6C equals what?
2C.
No. C squared minus what?
C.
C. Now what do I do? What kind of equation do I have now?
Okay.
So we need to get everything on one side and have it equal 0. So what's this going to be? 0 equals C squared minus how many C's? 7C plus what? 6. And does that factor? What's it factor into, everybody? Come on, everybody. Raise your hand when you see it. What does that factor into? Yeah, you can. What two numbers multiply together to get 6, but add together to get negative 7? Come on. What?
6 and 1.
Not 6 and 1. Negative 7. What two numbers multiply together to get? Thank you. So it's C minus 1 and C minus. So what does C equal?
Either 1 or 6.
1 or 6. Exactly. C is equal to 1 or 6. Yes, that's a ton of work. It is. So what is that? Does it turn into a 2 over 3x to the third? Is that right? 2 over 3x? How did I do on that one?
Good.
What's the next one going to become? Negative what?
ln 3.
Oh, it's just ln. It's 3. No, hold on. It's going to be 3 ln. Make it absolute value of x. Minus 6x to the what power? 6x to the plus. You need to have that plus c on there. You'd lose a piece of a point. Okay, ready for the next one? Let's see how you do on
What's the 3 element?
the integral of this right here.
Oh, because it's okay.
The integral of x to the negative 1 is ln x, like that. Yay. Okay, ready for the next one? Gets a little more fun. Ready, set, go. 30 seconds. Gotta remember.
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How'd it go? So what's the integral of the first one? What is that? You just have to remember. So stop, everybody. Stop. You just have to recognize it. What is the integral? What is that 5 relevant at all? The 5 is not relevant at all. It's just 5 times what? You have to remember that 1 over cosine squared is the derivative of something. Let's go back up to the chart here. You just were looking at it.
That's freaking 10.
Oh, look at that right there. See that right there?
Oh, you don't see it's frozen.
Oh, you're like, really?
I still know it's 10, Mr. Seaman.
So 1 over cosine squared is the derivative of what? Tangent, right? So you go down to here. You go down to here. Right there. So what is that integral of that first one going to be?
5, 10.
5 tangent of x minus 4 what? Sine of x minus or plus? Oh, plus 2 what? Cosine x plus c. The derivative of cosine is negative sine. That's where that negative comes from. The derivative of sine is just cosine. And the derivative of tangent is 1 over cosine squared. What's another name for 1 over cosine squared? Secant squared. Exactly. Very good. Nice. Okay. The derivative. So what is the derivative of cosine? You know what the derivative of cosine is. What is it?
Sine. Or negative sine, but
The derivative of sine is cosine. The derivative of cosine is
negative sine.
negative sine. So f prime of x is going to be negative sine of x squared, right? But then because of the chain rule, you have to multiply by the derivative of what? The derivative of x squared. Nothing is what's inside, right? So let's simplify this. It's going to be 2 negatives. So what is it? Sine of, and then what does that get multiplied by? 2x. So I generally like to write it like this. What do I generally like to write it as? 2x sine of x squared. So what's nice is if I set you up like this, what can you now answer? You could have answered this right here, which is really cool. What is the integral of that thing? Well, you know that the integral of that has to be what? Negative cosine of x squared, because you just showed that the derivative of negative cosine of squared is that. But, kids, you have to realize, though, what happens if I just started you here without question 3?
We would have gotten it wrong.
It would have been a lot harder, right? You would have had to play around and test it. I effectively said, here's from A to B. Okay, now how do you get from B to A? Well, you know what the reverse target is going to be because I started you at the right place. Will you eventually be able to do these without any sort of starting hint like this?
Eventually, not
Yeah, well, very soon, actually. Very, very soon. You'll eventually be able to get there.
Predict your change.
Actually, what you get to do is you'll learn a method that helps you see how to undo things like that. Undoing integration is challenging. I think I said this to you before. Integrating and differentiating is kind of like multiplication and factoring. Multiplication is relatively straightforward. Factoring is a little more challenging. Think about it. Basically asking not the factors, but how do you reduce that in a way? It's not technically a reduction, but in general, it's harder to integrate than it is to differentiate. Not always, but in general. Because with differentiation, you have a strict rule. Are there going to be other rules you're going to follow? Yes. Other methods? Yes. Okay. So let's see what else I got here. Oh. Who wants to find point first? Raise your hand. Okay, so how do you find the point? What do you do? How do you find point?
Plug in the x to the...
Yeah, so you need f of pi over 4.
It's frozen.
Ah, I need to unfreeze it, yes. So 3 cosine 3 pi over 4 plus 4. So theoretically, you could write the point as, what's the x value? Pi over 4, and what's the y value? 3 cosine 3 pi over 4 plus 4. You would not receive full credit if you left the point like that. That would be way, way, way not enough, okay? You need to know what cosine of 3 pi over 4 is. Okay, so only thing I want right there.
Negative radical 2 over 2.
Yes, comma.
Radical 2 over 2.
Exactly. You need to know this instantly. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse. This is going backwards, so which one is it? Andrew, is it negative root 2 over 2 or positive root 2 over 2? Negative root 2 over 2. So this right here is just negative root 2 over 2. So the point would be pi over 4, comma, negative 3 root 2 over 2 plus 4. That would be the coordinate. You need to do it that fast or faster. Yes, go ahead.
Can you scroll back to the unit?
So we have the point. So now we need to find the Slope. What do we need to find first in order to find the slope? Yes, m is the slope, but what do we do to that function? We take the derivative. So if we take the derivative of this, it's going to be f prime of x will equal 3 times what? What is the derivative of cosine? Negative sine of 3x, but what do we have to multiply by because of the chain rule? 3. What's the derivative of 4? 0. What do we plug in for x? We need to find the slope at x equals what? It's right there, at x equals pi over 4. So you need to do f prime of pi over 4. So it's negative 9 sine of what? 3 times pi over 4. Find out what that exact value is right now. You have 30 seconds. There's no deep. It's going to be negative 9 of times what? Negative 9 times what? Root 2 over 2.
When we solve for that, are we finding the x or y? Because it's the same in that one case.
Same x or y. We just plugged it in x value. We're getting out this.
Okay, getting y.
So that right there is also known as the, not the point. What is that?
Slope.
That's the slope. Once you have the point and slope, are you done?
Yep.
Yes. So can you just tell me, read out loud for me, what's the equation going to be, Noah? Y minus?
Y minus root 2 over 2.
No. Nope.
What was that?
Y minus y1. It's, oh, you can't see it. Sorry. There you go. What is it?
Oh, okay. Y minus negative 9 times root 2 all over 2.
No. Remember, what's the equation? Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1.
I'm so sorry.
No, no apologies. We're getting to what you, so what do we subtract?
Negative 3 times root 2 all over 2
Plus 4, right? Equals
negative 9 times root 2 over 2
x minus.
pi over 4.
Yes, this right here, you would stop right there. That would be the 100% you're done complete thing right there.
And
Plug
3 pi over 4 into
Yep,
the equation.
into the equation, right? So you get 3 cosine of
Cosine 9
pi over 4 plus 4. Like that, right?
Plus 4.
So you have to remember what cosine of 9 pi over 4 is.
So then you're going to go on the unit circle.
Yeah, so,
You can go 3 over, like, into the third, I don't know.
but hold on, ready?
You go through
How
that
many-
one, through that one, yep.
And then how far do you go?
You go bottom, halfway through
Yeah,
the
so
bottom.
what coordinate is that? Root 2 over 2, comma? 9 pi over 4 is the same thing as what? Evaluating pi over 4, right? So cosine is going to be, what is cosine of 9 pi over 4 going to be?
Negative 2 over 2.
No, both of these are positive. So what is it going to be? They're both positive. They're both right there. What are they? Which one is it? Oh, they're the same. Root 2 over 2 plus what?
Wait, but don't we go into the negative quadrant?
No,
Isn't it?
no.
See that plus 4.
Look, Noah, going all the way around is how many quarters? 8 of them, right?
Yeah.
So how many more do you do? 1. You just go 1 more quarter. 9 pi over 4, everybody, is going all the way around plus pi over 4. 8 pi over 4 is 2 pi. 2 pi is all the way around. So you're just going 1 more pi over 4. So we have our y-coordinate now. How do we find the slope, everybody? How do we find the slope?
You gotta find the derivative.
Yeah, so what's the derivative going to be?
9 sine 3x.
9 sine 3x, exactly. So if you want to find the slope, you do f of 3 pi over 4.
And since they're
9 sine of what? 9 pi over 4?
And so since the x and y are the same, it'll still be root 2 over 2.
Exactly. So now do we have our point and our slope?
Yep.
So what's the equation going to be? Y minus 3 root 2 over 2 plus 4, right? Equals what? What's the slope? What's the slope? It's right there. 9 root 2 over 2 times x minus
Pi over 4. Or 3 pi over 4.
3 pi over 4. That's the whole thing. Don't go any further. That's it. Whole thing. Yeah, that negative. Thank you very much. What is the integral of sine?
Negative cosine.
Negative cosine of x, and you're going from 0 to 2 pi. So you have negative cosine of 2 pi minus negative cosine of 0. There are a lot of places to get this wrong. Where do you think the most common place people get it wrong is?
Right at the beginning, missing like the sine or cosine.
Actually, no. Right here. You see the double negative, right? You're subtracting. You have to evaluate the whole thing. So negative cosine of 2 pi plus cosine of 0. Now you have to remember what those are. What is cosine of 2 pi? It's all the way around, right? What's negative cosine of 2 pi then? Sorry. You're going all the way around, everybody.
-1.
Nope. You're going all the way around, right here. 1, 0. So what's this? -1 plus what?
Oh, that's why I said -1.
Ah, because the negative was on the front. I see. Plus what? What's cosine of 0?
Oh, 1.
1, so what's this going to be?
0.
Now let's see if this makes sense visually. Where does sine start? When you're at x equals 0, where is sine? What is sine of 0? What's sine of 0? 0. Sine of 0 is 0. And then it goes up. So you go up like this, and you go down like this, right? What point is that? That is, what x value is that?
0.
That's 2 pi. When you plug, what is sine of 2 pi? It's 0. Ah, what do you notice here? How does this area compare to this area? Well, they're the same size, right? But one of them is negative, right? So when they add them together, what do you get?
0.
Should you get 0?
Yes.
You should get 0. You should get 0. Okay, kids, you can get out of here. Thank you.